Hey guys, this is Chris and Henry here, and we are going to be talking about the Matrix news that's broken via The Hollywood Reporter. Now, it looks like they're going to be exploring the Matrix universe further. We don't know if it's going to be a remake or a reboot or a reimagining or a relaunch, but something's happening in that world. It looks like the Wachowskis aren't involved at this time, nor is producer Joel Silver. But yeah, what are your thoughts initially, Henry?
You know, my immediate reaction on most remakes or things like this, just like, oh, I don't like this. This is a thing I loved, and now they're like returning to it. But I really think, recent stuff, especially like The Force Awakens, have shown us they can return to things and make them better or find new stuff to do with it. So I'm looking forward to what they could do in the Matrix. Like, the world of the Matrix is bigger than Neo and bigger than the story of Neo. I think they could find a lot to do there.
So rather than remake it, it's some kind of spin-off in the way we're getting these Star Wars stories.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the way they built up Neo especially in the two sequels, is that he's a repeating thing anyway. So honestly, a reboot would work in that universe. They would just say, like, here's a previous Neo, or here's the one who comes up to fight in the Matrix. That cycle they always go through. They had such an interesting ending place at the end of Revolutions that they could just pick up from there, or say it's 30 years later, like they did in Star Wars, or 10 years later, and here's where everybody's at now.
Yeah, I mean, recently Yahoo asked Keanu Reeves whether he would want to be involved in a Matrix sequel were they to do one, and he said maybe, but he'd only want to do it if the Wachowskis were involved. Do you think they need him on board to make this work?
Since they left Neo dead, they don't necessarily need him. They could just do it with like Larry Fishburne, and he could be there, and Jada. But I definitely want them to ask the Wachowskis. But I think they seem like they're done with the Matrix. Like they've moved on.
They're talking about setting up a writer's room right now with Zach Penn overseeing that. And there's even talking about trying to get Michael B. Jordan on board to star. Would you be interested in those kind of guys?
Oh, yeah. Totally. I think, Michael B. Jordan is the type of guy who I think could lead that series, or he could play the son of Larry Fishburne and Jada Pinkett Smith's characters. Though Zach Penn, too, he has run a lot of the Marvel tentpole films. Like, he's written a ton of those scripts. So if that's what Warner wants to restart the Matrix to be, is to be their next, like, a new film universe or an old film universe for them to re-explore, then Zach Penn, I think, is a good choice to be like your guide for that.
And if they aren't going with the Wachowskis, this wouldn't be the first time that other filmmakers have explored stuff in the Matrix world, is it?
No, yeah. I think the Animatrix, which a lot of people, I think, forgot about, it showed that many filmmakers can just go in the world of the Matrix and tell so many different stories in there. With Animatrix specifically, it was anime directors who made new stories that most of them didn't have anything to do with the characters we knew about from the Matrix film. They were varying degrees of good, but the best were amazing. And I think the Animatrix is totally worth revisiting just to find that stuff out. And the Wachowskis, they were involved. They were totally involved in planning it, but they weren't making those films. They left it up to the creator. The only thing I would say that would be a worry for me is if they didn't make it R-rated. I think a lot of the violence in it would still work in a PG-13 setting, but I don't know. There was something about The Matrix that made it special to me, that it was an R-rated. It gave more of an indication of an older audience than what Marvel or even the DC Extended Universe shoots for. And especially with the success of like Logan and Deadpool in last year, I think that proves they could still work with an R rating and make $1 billion or whatever on another Matrix movie. Like, that wouldn't hold them back.
Well, thank you, Henry. We'll have more news on that one as and when it breaks. Head to Fandom for all your movie, TV, and video game needs, and hit us up on our social channels, which are all @GetFandom.